Welcome to this emergency episode of the Wealth Tech Today podcast. I'm your host, Craig Iskowitz, and I'm pleased to introduce our guest for this episode is Kristen Schmidt, the founder of RIA Oasis. Hey, Kristen.
Hello. Emergency indeed. Good emergency.
It's an emergency.
Right?
It's an emergency. Get the sirens going. It's like an air raid.
I did not dress up for the occasion, but I definitely want to talk about this. It's exciting.
Yeah, you don't have to dress up. It's a podcast. So we're here to talk about the news just came out an hour ago. Orion to acquire Redtail Technologies. Orion Advisor Solutions, for those of you who didn't hear this news, announced today a definitive agreement to acquire Redtail Technology. This acquisition presents a game-changing opportunity for growth-focused independent advisors. This is from Eric Clark, CEO and founder of Orion, as will make our robust tech stack ecosystem even more valuable. So I think we're all about this. I mean, this is all we talk about all day is advisor technology. So this, we did not expect this. So your quick thoughts off the top of your head, Kristen, go.
Yeah, I did not expect this. You're absolutely right. First of all, very excited for Redtail and Orion. I think that it is a great fit. Didn't see it coming, but now that I heard the news, I'm thinking, well, of course they did that, right? So it does make sense. A couple of quick thoughts. Number one, and what I'm hearing with my clients and in my consulting business is, what does this mean to me? Right. And I think that's very valid for current users of either the Orion platform or the Redtail platform. I think there's a lot to talk about, but I'm excited for all of them. I think now our wheels are spinning on what does it mean for now and what does it mean in the future?
I agree. Most of our clients are enterprise, so it's a bit of a slightly different tack than the independent advisors who you guys work with. But it's certainly big news. It's certainly a big change. I want to say, based on Redtail's motto and their logo, like who let the dogs out in CRM, right? Orion's got it. Orion brought the dogs in.
Yeah, they did it. They did it. I agree. I think that there's a lot of moving parts here. Number one is, and I know we'll share some data as well. You and I were just talking about some data that I think really solidify, who is a Redtail user. But I think that the span of a Redtail user is so diverse in a sense of independent RIAs versus broker dealers, and the span of from small to big, from independent to enterprise, they span it all, which makes it a huge opportunity for Orion. Orion has that same demographic as well. Many enterprise opportunities and many integrated solutions, but also serves to the small, medium, and large independent RIAs. So in that sense, it is a great match. Orion's never had a CRM before. And I think where my head goes as, looking at the entire tech stack is, have they just completed their entire platform offering? You and I talk about a lot. What does the platform offering mean? What are the boxes we want to check to consider a company a platform? And Orion is listed as, obviously, their claim to fame is that wealth tech provider across an entire platform. But adding a CRM to the mix is a huge win.
It's huge. It completes their platform. It gives them it checks all the boxes. It gives them everything as part of their acquisition spree that they've gone on since 2018. So let me just go through that real quickly. 2018, they bought FTJ Fund Choice, which was a TAMP that was mainly in the broker dealer space, and that made Orion into a TAMP overnight. And they integrated that. In 2019, Orion bought Advisor, ADVIZR, a financial planning and portal technology, which gave them financial planning and a new client portal, which we can talk about. And in June 2020, San Francisco-based private equity firm Genstar Capital bought a stake in Orion and then merged it with Brinker Capital, one of the largest TAMPs that have 25 billion in AUM, which probably grown since then. That really put them on the TAMP map, because Brinker, this technology was far superior. They were way bigger into UMAs and more complicated and higher net worth advisory firms, more on the RIA side.
It absolutely did. And it also brought great reputation and name recognition. A lot of times, that's why these things are so big. And so I think, that was a huge move. You're absolutely right.
Then in 2021, last year, they made 2 acquisitions, Hidden Levers, which is risk management, prop gen, and stress testing, and basis code compliance. Then this year, Redtail. So now what do you think of that?
I think it's April. And that's all that, that's everything.
More time to go.
At the beginning of the year, and they're already looking at, what's been announced publicly through Redtail's announcements to their clients and Orion's to theirs, is that this is a second quarter closed acquisition. So you named a lot of pieces there. So let's talk about those in a sense of the platform. Orion obviously having their core functionality of portfolio management, reconciliation, reporting, and billing, which they always were. Add on to that, they built their own trading and rebalancing tool, the Eclipse tool. And then all of these other pieces, you're absolutely right. Advisor with a Z was purchased obviously as a light financial planning tool, but then the biggest piece was that it could create a client experience and advisor portal that's very valuable. And that with Hidden Levers, right now, Hidden Levers is the only standalone tool that Orion offers. Anyone off the streets can go get Hidden Levers standalone without being affiliated with the platform at all, using all other platform choices of your choosing. And you're absolutely right. That's a big one. If we were to look at other platforms out there, although it's not apples to apples, nothing is. Let's look at Tamarack and Envestnet, for example. The Tamarack platform for independent RAs, they don't have a risk tool. So they're missing that, but they have their own proprietary CRM built on the Microsoft Dynamics platform, right? And have forever when Envestnet bought Tamarack years ago. So the Orion platform having CRM, portfolio management, which includes reconciliation, performance reporting and billing, a trading and rebalancing tool, a client experience, financial planning, and not only risk assessment, but you're right, prop gen, along with other pieces of Orion because of those other acquisitions like TAMP, it's big. They've covered all of their bases with this acquisition. And I think we also need to talk a little bit about Redtail in a sense of, congratulations both to Eric Clark and to Brian over at Redtail, because they both built amazing companies that have a lot of the same synergies. One of the biggest integrations is Redtail and Orion from the beginning, and they've been doing it from the beginning. And in Brian's, 19-year career of having Redtail, he's built an entire industry level CRM. I think the numbers spoke for themselves, right? When we were looking at some recent surveys, Craig. And so Redtail is very well highly adopted. And we see that in the IBD space, in the independent broker dealer space, as well as in the RA marketplace. And so the idea that Redtail has a long longevity of client success, user success, and innovation. This is a great ad for Orion. I'm happy for everybody.
It really puts Orion in play for a lot of clients they may not have had before. And also it kind of changes the marketplace. As you mentioned, Tamarack has had a CRM for many years, but it wasn't highly adopted. Whereas this move might change the nature of how RIA platforms operate. Whereas if Orion can be successful integrating Redtail to become Orion CRM, if they rebrand it as Orion CRM, which makes sense.
Yeah.
The integration is really tight and seamless and feels good to advisors. And the adoption rate keeps increasing rather than decreasing. It could change how their competitors look at them and say, well, hey, they're doing this. We need to do the same.
I agree, but I also think that if I were an advisor today who has heavily adopted Redtail but uses Black Diamond or uses some other portfolio management tool, I would wonder where this leaves me. I also think that WealthBox is in a very strong position, although this is an acquisition and it's very positive, happy for everybody. My agnostic sense comes out. But WealthBox, in my opinion, is literally the only CRM out there that is independently owned and operated without any, with the intention of being a CRM only, right? And there can be an opinion here, and I'll hear it from all of my clients, which is, well, Redtail, now you're not a CRM. Now you're part of a bigger platform. So what about us? What about those CRM initiatives? I think I could speak on both sides of that coin. One being Redtail has such a large company and people and support behind it, and all of that is coming with the company. So I think that that's good for Orion, where it can still stand alone, although it's under the umbrella. But to that point, it does take away advisor choice at some level. You and I keep talking about how advisors want choice. And now you can make that choice. At least we're not sure actually if you're going to be able to buy Redtail after close, second quarter. We're not sure if you'll be able to buy Redtail independently. That hasn't been released. Again, we're an hour into the release, but it hasn't been said yet.
We should know everything by now. Let's look at the email that Redtail sent out just an hour ago. So what this is, there was a section, there was the announcement, part of the press release, but then a section of the email that came from Redtail signed by Brian McLaughlin. What does this mean for you? Well, Redtail CRM's capabilities will be fully integrated into Orion's comprehensive wealth tech platform post-close. It's important to note that Redtail will maintain all existing business relationships and continue to prioritize the enhancement, service, and support experience for both those using Orion platform as well as those who do not. Next sentence, Redtail's existing client base will retain their current agreements to access its CRM as a standalone solution. However, post-close, Redtail clients who choose to adopt all that Orion has to offer will benefit from access to a full suite of leading-edge wealth tech solutions. What does that mean? Kristen Schmidt.
What does that mean? So what I'm hearing it say is all of those words were specifically chosen purposefully because the future is unclear. That means existing and current are the two words that my eyes latch onto. Existing clients of Redtail have opportunity if you're not with Orion. Existing clients of Orion have opportunity if you're not with Redtail. My question is, if I don't use Orion and I don't use Redtail today, can I buy Redtail in August? That's the question that I can't answer, and my clients will ask me. I have some that are interested in moving. We have a lot of conversions going on, a lot of change in the industry, and that is something they'll have to clarify. Again, this is a brand new baby that just got born, but I do think that there's going to be question of, what if I want to be new to you come fall, and is that even an option? And that's an Orion decision. I'm sure that's being contemplated.
I mean, my thoughts are you'd want to keep it independent, at least allow people to buy it separately because it's a foot in the door. Why take that away? You can still build your integration and make it tight, but leave the door open to firms come in and say, well, we use Black Diamond, we use Tamarack, we use something else. We still want to buy Redtail. Fine, buy it. It's an Orion product. You don't have to, but look how much better it is. And then you've got them. They're now a client of yours. They've got a contract, and you can say, hey, by the way, if you want to switch over from Black Diamond, look how easy it is. So it seems to me they should keep it, but who knows?
I would agree. So within the list of acquisitions that you listed for Orion, Hidden Levers is the only standalone. So they've done that with Hidden Levers, where were able to garner the Hidden Levers client base during the acquisition and then say, hey, by the way, guys, look at all this other cool stuff. And Hidden Levers is now actually getting fully integrated into the Orion platform now. But it's still standalone. You can still buy it off the street and just use it for its one standing purpose. So I agree with you. I think the question is it possible? And then also, I think there's a piece of the CRM is such an integral part to the tech stack for independent RAs and hybrids. So if you are part of a broker dealer, does this encourage broker dealers to highly adopt Orion if they haven't already? You and I talk a lot about the broker dealer space and how some technology is approved versus required, right? So how does this leverage the Orion platform for a lot of the Redtail adoption? We can always flip that and say, if you're using Orion today, what an opportunity to use Redtail. But I think the latter is actually not as impactful. I think, how much does Redtail influence people to become Orion users, which is obviously part of the leverage?
There's no way to know. I mean, the way advisors do wealth management, the way advisors do portfolio management can be very different. And the way they feel about it often decides which platform they go with. When they're, Tamarack does portfolio rebalancing and management in a very different way than Orion's Eclipse does. which is a very different way than Black Diamond's rebalancer. So it's sometimes, even though you're there, you just can't get them to switch because you don't do things the way they do things. They don't want to change.
That's exactly right. And I also think that there are some firms who choose to have a Maserati of a portfolio management platform and more of a Volvo in a sense of a CRM. And then there's other firms who choose to have the Maserati as the CRM. It's a Salesforce, it's something much larger, and then maybe not have much of a gusto of the portfolio management system. But I'll tell you this, the portfolio management systems in all of these platforms are very well defined by, are you financial planning centric or are you investment centric? And a lot of that is driving platform decision. What does my financial planning tool look like? What do my outputs look like? You're a icon and influencer on Twitter. You've seen it all, one-page reports, and everybody's talking about what's being released. I do have to mention, since we're live when this info just came out, that Altruist and their integration with Right Capital got buried in this, and they should get a lot of credit in a sense.
Right Capital.
Yeah, and poor Jason, right, over at Altruist, because I think that was a great integration and one of the first over there that's really impactful on the financial planning side for Altruist. So with that said, I think that there are a lot of these pieces and the unknowns can be impactful. A CRM, you need one no matter what to run your business, no matter if you're investment centric, financial planning centric, or mix. So is this going to drive higher adoption of the CRM? Absolutely. Absolutely, it will. And it's going to make some of the competitors probably wonder what's next, right? Again, just to lay it out, Orion now has bought Redtail. Franklin Templeton owns Advisor Engine, aka what used to be Juncture CRM. SS&C Advent, which also is Black Diamond, is underneath them, owns the Salentica platform for CRM, which has a Microsoft Dynamics platform and a Salesforce platform. Wealthbox, owned by Star Labs, which I think, Starburst Labs, excuse me, but I think that they just got some amazing influx of money to innovate, which I think is going to be impactful to see how they become, competitive. But again, not owned by any larger platform. And it's the only one out there besides any of the Salesforce overlay companies like Practify, Accelerate, and so on.
Let's do a quick rundown of market share. So according to the Keatsis Advisor Tech survey, Redtail is the leader with 33%, Wealthbox 22.7%, Salesforce 13.3%, and then I think the next one, I lost my page, sorry. Then Salesforce 13%, then the next one is other at 9%. So that's just
a little scary, especially for a CRM implementer like myself.
Yeah, other.
The other categories.
Juncture, which is now Advisor Engine CRM, is 4%. Tamarack CRM 2.7%. Firm Proprietary 2.5%. Microsoft Dynamics 2.5%. And then it just falls off the map.
Yep.
All right. So what does it mean for these companies? Oh, let me just switch over to a T3. T3 has some different, way different numbers. They've got Redtail at 62%, so almost 100% higher, which could be because they get more broker-dealer enterprise respondents to their survey. InvestNet number 2 at 16, Wealthbox number 3 at 13, Salesforce 6, Salesforce 11, Juncture 4, Advison 2. So what do these numbers mean? Clearly, Redtail is the leader. Orion's bought the leader in CRM, and it means as you said, Wealthbox is the only major CRM available. It's that standard.
Yeah, but I want to be fair on that for a little bit. So number one, if we're listing adoption, and again, some of that survey, which we've reviewed and disclosed, I think does hit primarily that independent RA market, isn't necessarily representing the IBD space in a large way, but that's okay. We've gotten enough data and they're doing a great job. A couple things to note though. Redtail was founded in 2003, which means they're on year 19. Okay. And congratulations to Ryan McLaughlin on that. So WealthBox, if we were to look at the historical data from the T3 survey or others, WealthBox has made increasingly large jumps to get to that 23 in half the time. They're 8 years behind. WealthBox was established by Starburst Labs in 2014. So sometimes when we look at data, and we also look at longevity, and the same thing's happening with Right Capital. Okay, we've talked about that before, where Right Capital is considered the newbie, but is the fastest growing adopted financial planning tool in the market. So I think we need to give that a little bit of credit, that WealthBox is the climb is sometimes just as impactful as those final results. Now, to Redtail's credit, once you earn an A, you got to keep it. Your numbers can always go down just as much as they can go up. So everybody from WealthBox and Redtail has been climbing predominantly, but I think those big step climbs from companies that are newer to the market is impactful and something to consider. There's also been areas of the CRM market where certain companies are deciding to be or not be. I'll give you an example. Email. It's a big one. Okay. Redtail currently has an outsourced solution for email hosting through a company named Zimbra. Will that stay? Will that go with Orion? Remember, Redtail isn't just a CRM. They are a document management system for storage. They also have their Speak component, which is for texting and messaging and chatting. They have so many other components to the CRM that Orion has a lot to unravel as to how it all fits. And until I see otherwise, I'm guessing it's all coming along for the ride, but how that all instrumentally fits into their platform will be interesting.
Indeed. Yeah. And that's something that all these competitors have to figure out what they're going to do. How are they going to respond to this? How is this moving the market? You know, it seems like it's a good deal for Salesforce and SS&C because they've already made that move to integrate their CRMs with a broader platform. So they're kind of ahead of the curve, although they don't have anywhere near the market share that Redtail has. And
right. It's a different world when you utilize the systems like I take them as, Salesforce overlays, right? So you have the engine of Salesforce, but suddenly have kind of made it a little bit more complicated by adding your overlay on top of it. And then depending upon your relationship with Salesforce, which means how much are you paying them to have the freedom to do what you want? Mm-hmm. How much leash do you have in what you create and what breaks based on what Salesforce updates? Ironically, it's funny. I was talking to a consultant friend of mine today when this all came out before you reached out to me. And I said, everybody got bought out by somebody in the CRM world, except for WealthBox. I made that statement. And she said, well, what about all the Salesforce platforms? And I said, well, they're kind of underneath the mercy of Salesforce. Their entire platform can break based on what Salesforce decides, and they've gotten permission to be on Salesforce.
So you would lump Advisor in that group?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. So I guess we should talk about it. Advisor is a platform. In fact, giving them the recognition they deserve. I believe they just released their trading tool, trading and rebalancing platform. What was that? Probably just last week, if I'm correct. Now, that's an interesting move. Advisor initially had a CRM, but it wasn't fully built out to the capabilities they wish they had. So they had a strong integration with Redtail only. Then they beefed up their CRM, changed their user interface, and then also built a proprietary workflow tool inside their system and cut off the integration with Redtail so that they could be a platform. I think Advisor is serving a different type of smaller RIA platform currently, although they're definitely working towards going up market. So the question is it Advisor, a competitor to the Redtails and WealthBoxes of the world? Could be. But if we look at the survey information, again, going back to the facts of the case that we're using in our conversation, correct me if I'm wrong, there was a lower percentage of adoption with Advisor for CRM.
4%.
Yeah. So again, they've stayed steady at that for at least the last 2 to 3 years, where we're seeing others climb. So that's where I guess my point is that you've seen some really big climbers that are making impact, climbing quickly while also innovating their platform and standing their ground. it's one of the most common questions I get from independent RAs is, what's the difference between Redtail and Wealthbox? And the answer is, do you have 10 hours to sit on the phone? So even though there are a lot of things the same, there's that much more that is different. But the fact that Orion now has the last piece of their puzzle for a full platform is very, very interesting. And that is going to make a mark not only on the CRM industry, but it's going to make a mark in all the competitive spaces. Tamarack is talking, Black Diamond is talking. There's a lot of different industry level platform tools that are probably having conversations just like you and I are today.
Good. So let's move on from that. Let's talk about integrations. What does this mean for integrations? And this is something we talk with our clients about a lot. We work together on projects for large companies, and they want to know, how do these firms integrate? What's the best way? Who has the best integrations? How can we put these together? Which way should they integrate? Should the data push, pull? What's your thoughts here?
So you're right. It's an overused word, industry word, that I'm not a fan of because it doesn't mean much until you define it. So the first integration that Orion is strong with, and especially with the CRMs and Redtail, is the asset value integration. So your custodians are feeding into the Orion platform, and then your account values, financial account values, flow into the Redtail system and are there for you to view. And you can use that data in many different ways. That's one type of integration. The second type of integration is on the platform integration, meaning if I'm in Redtail, I would like to single sign on into Orion, or possibly see Orion data inside my Redtail system, meaning when I click on a button, a new square pops up on my screen that shows me the Orion reporting tool or the Eclipse tool or the new account wizard, whatever it might be. So they do have strong integrations already. So that's part of the genius of this, is they don't have much to build. The building for them will not so much be integrations, but rather platform connectivity. I want to see Redtail in the same space I see Orion, and vice versa. Now that it's tucked under within Orion, you and I can assume that there are, dashboard abilities like Orion has today, or when I'm in Redtail, maybe there's a little bit more of a seamless connectivity to the Orion platform, yet to be determined. But I think when we talk about integrations, the idea is just because you can doesn't mean you should. To quote one of my dear friends, Erin Kinchelo, who's also a consultant in the space, was talking with her today. That is her literal go-to saying, which means there will be a lot of integration buttons, but advisors need to decide if it's even valuable to them. Does it save you time? Does it save you data entry? Does it save you fat fingering? What does it save you to use this button? Or is it just kind of cool to click? And so right now with Redtail, integrations are all or nothing. You get all the integration buttons, or you turn it off and you get none. So another piece that I'm interested in learning about in the coming months is, will anything change with functionality of integrations in a, for lack of a better term, buffet style choicing? I would like to be able to use the new account wizard, but I don't need the Eclipse tool to be turned on, right? So the a la carte model of integration features would be a huge win for Orion, with the Redtail integration at least.
You're saying keeping it a la carte as opposed to making integrations, because now we're in the Orion ecosystem. You got to have these.
Yeah, I think that what we're starting to see, and what Orion has really capitalized on as a value add, is a role-based and permission-based functionality. So my traders only need to see this, this, and this, and they only need to do this, this, and this. And so if they go along with kind of that theory of their structure of building, we talk about integrations of, can I see the data? Can I do anything with the data? And can I go anywhere with the data, right? So I think that if they keep with that mantra, they have the opportunity to allow integrations to be more customized, not the data to be customized. I was just on a call today where somebody said, "Ooh, does that data sync from the custodian?" No, we're still not there yet, right? So staying in the confines of same data being shared, but who sees it and what they can do with it based on your role in the firm is an important feature that advisors are craving.
Advisors want it all. Moving on from integrations, let's talk about pricing. What do you think is going to happen with the pricing? And so we know Redtail has had forever this $99 a month, 15 user pricing. What's going to happen to that?
I don't know. In the evolution of Orion, if we look back, when they first released their Eclipse trading tool, that was an add-on feature that was an added cost. And then they phased that out, and now it is rolled up into the cost of everything. The only standalone pricing feature Orion has is hidden levers, because it's the only standalone tool. So if we look at historically, they have slowly but surely phased out subscription-based pricing models and just rolled everything in. So there's a question out there still. Will this be included in a model? Will this be included in a package? You have the option of just buying the Orion platform, not with the CRM, or you can have the CRM plus platform, right? And does that increase? I think also, to my point before, are they going to allow Redtail only new subscribers? I think that's the biggest piece of the pricing model. So what does it cost for Orion users? What does it cost for Redtail users? And what if you're new? Can you be a new Redtail user in August? That's my biggest question. I get that comment a lot. It's one of the most affordable out of the box CRMs that are there, Redtail. $99 per month for 15 users. I don't know if that'll stay within the Orion platform.
We do not know. We will find out very soon. Kristen, thanks so much for being here. I appreciate jumping in a short notice. We're gonna pump this episode out for everyone, so they can hear our thoughts on this big change in the industry. Tell everyone where they can find more information about you, and how can they contact you.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. Of course, raaoasis.com is where you can find me. Click let's chat, and you're welcome to schedule a Calendly call with me so that we can talk more. But I appreciate the opportunity to chat industry fun stuff. Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Thanks, Kristen. Hey, it's Craig. So thanks for being here for this episode. I really enjoyed doing it. It's a last minute thing. We just quickly jumped on the phone and made this podcast for you guys. I hope everyone got a lot out of it. My top 3 takeaways are: wow, big news, big changes coming. Let's see what the competitors do. Let's see what their pricing is going to be. Let's see if they're going to be selling Redtail standalone. Lots of questions. My takeaways are basically all questions about this. So thanks for listening. And please go to our website, EzraGroupLLC.com, and sign up for our newsletter. You can go to the homepage, scroll to the bottom, fill out your name and email address, and once a month, you'll get an email chock full of wealth tech goodness, news, links, analysis, information. You will not be disappointed. Thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you all again next time.